Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 was introduced in the Parliament this week. The move attracted attention towards mismanagement of the Waqf system. Lawmakers across party lines debated the prospects of the new bill, which will be sent to Joint Parliamentary Committee for further scrutiny. Clearly, the Waqf system in our country is suffering from major shortcomings and rampant corruption. To discuss various facets of these developments, I have with me Syed Mahmood Akhtar Sahab, who is a former IRS officer. Welcome to the Matrix. Syed Mahmood Akhtar Sahab is a former IRS officer who was involved in the drafting of amendments to Waqf Bill in 2013 in a big way. He has good understanding of how the Waqf system operates in a country. But before I get into a conversation with him, I would like to give you some data about how important this issue is. According to estimates, after defense and railways, Waqf boards are the largest land custodians. 30 Waqf boards control 8.7 lakh properties. Spread of Waqf properties is over an area of 9.4 lakh acres. Third major amendment to the Wakf Act has been introduced. Waqf is a kind of Muslim endowment which is mainly of property for religious and charitable purposes like construction of mosques, dargahs, graveyards, shelter homes, educational institutes, etc. Welcome to the show, sir. Let me begin by asking you, sir, for the interest of our viewers, could you kindly explain the concept of Waqf?
Thank you, Atir. It's a pleasure, always a pleasure to be with you. Yes, I was instrumental in drafting the 2013 amendment to the Wakf Act, and I have some first-hand experience and knowledge about it. The word Waqf originates from the Arabic word waqfiya. Waqfiya means to hold, to possess. Now, what do you possess? You possess a particular endowment, either in the shape of land, or in the shape of books, or in the shape of some donations for the charitable purpose of carrying out welfare activities of the communities, orphans, widows, education, underprivileged students, education, maintaining graveyards and mosques, so forth and so. Now, the Waqf actually, if we take its, how was it codified? It had a long presence in India, but the British codified it originally. Then further it was enacted through an Act of Parliament in 1954. Further, the 1995 Act is very important because 1995 delineates and decides all the tenets of Waqf in its linear and in its actual positions. The 1995 Act clearly delineates the fact that a Waqif is the person who makes the Waqf, donates the Waqf. Is the Waqif has his will, it may be in writing, it may be verbal, has to be honored. And the persons who are to be, who will be advantaged by this particular act of charity have to be clearly delineated in the act, in the particular Waqif's will, who are these persons who are to be benefited. And the third thing which is very important, because that has its origin from the original Waqf Act, is the mutawallis or the custodians. The mutawallis are not the owners. The owner of the Waqf is Allah. Let us be very clear in that. Once a Waqf, always a Waqf. So the people who are the mutawalli, who manage the affairs, have to be the custodian. They can only lease out the Waqf land, or they can take advantage of the will of the Waqif and do welfare activities, or they can even rent out it, but they cannot sell the Waqf land. That's how it is.
Sir, so what is the mechanism under which the Waqf boards operate? What is the system?
The Waqf boards are controlled. In fact, the Waqf Act of 1995 clearly says that all the states and union territories will have Waqf boards. Now, Waqf is a state subject that way. The coordinating authority is the Central Waqf Council. The Central Waqf Council advises the ministry, presently it is the Ministry of Minority Affairs, on Waqf matters, guides it to issue certain circulars periodically or certain orders, and works as a intermediary, a sort of a coordinating office between the state Waqf boards and the ministry. The Waqf boards are constituted by the state government, and they consist of a chairman, a president, vice president, a chief executive officer, who is the functional authority of the Waqf board, members drawn from various cadres. Somebody has to be a theologian. He has to have this knowledge of Sharia and Islamic law. There have to be ladies there, women representation. In 2013, we incorporated chartered accountants to be a part of the Waqf boards. We also ensured that the CEO should be of a reasonable seniority, and he should be at least of the level of an additional district magistrate or so. And the Waqf boards basically are the coordinating office in the state so far as Waqf properties are concerned.
Yes, sir. Sir, so the Waqf Bill 2024 was introduced in the Parliament, and there was some very interesting initial debate on this topic. Now, the new bill eliminates the role of survey commissioners and gives the powers to DMs, the district magistrate or the collectors. How will things change now?
Well, let me take you a few years back. In 2012-13, when we were in the ministry, we had decided and we had issued orders. We had advised the Central Waqf Council to let the Waqf boards carry out the surveys. Mm-hmm. There has to be a survey commissioner, because the survey commissioner will record which is a Waqf property, and then it will be recorded in the Waqf board. Mm-hmm. A copy will be marked to the Waqf board, mm-hmm. and the state government will be informed that the survey commissioner has identified. Mm-hmm. We had also tried to ensure that the whole thing is digitally computerized. The entire Waqf lands, mm-hmm. which is a huge land, I think 1/3 or something of the country's land, if my memory serves me right. But then the records are missing. Many of records are missing. Many of them are encroached upon. Many of them have been sold out absolutely illegally, if I can call it so, by the Waqf boards or somebody in the Waqf board. And many of them have been even mortgaged for a very petty amount. So the state Waqf board's prime responsibility, as enshrined in the Wakf Act so far, and which maybe the present amendments are likely to access to, is that the district magistrate will have the power to coordinate the activities along with the records and all that. I have a small point to make here. Mm-hmm. The DM or the deputy commissioner is a terribly busy guy. Mm-hmm. Terribly busy guy across all the districts in the country, in the states. I am not sure whether he will be able to devote much time to this activity. So either he should depute a particular officer, and the Waqf board should nominate somebody on its own, as it was given in the 2013 amendment, that an independent authority will be in charge of carrying out the census and survey of the Waqf properties.
Sure. Sir, in 2013, at the time of drafting the bill, at that time, you had traveled extensively across the length and breadth of country to study the systems, the Waqf system, the boards, how they were operating, what were the shortcomings. You must have come across startling revelations, isn't it, sir?
Yes, it was startling indeed. I had occasion to take at least 18 places across the country. We took the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Waqf. And across the country, we had different experiences. There were estates, I don't want to name them, in northern India, who had a terrible record of the Waqf records. Nothing was there. Mm-hmm. We saw corruption. We could smell it. We could sense it. Mm-hmm. And then we traveled to the central part of the country. They were slightly better. The government included, many a time we had the chief ministers inviting us to the office, mm-hmm. for letting us know what exactly had transpired in the Waqf sphere in his own particular domain. Right. And in many of the states down south, mm-hmm. I can name them: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and even Karnataka, the Waqf boards were much better organized. They had details, they had survey records to a great extent. Of course, there were encroachments, like the ITC hotel in Mangalore is encroached property, and Windsor Manor, and somewhere else also. But relatively, comparatively, the southern part is much better organized so far as Waqf management is concerned.
Right. So we have seen that there is heavy litigation of Waqf properties, and more than 12,000 cases are pending with the Waqf tribunals, as the Minister of Minority Affairs informed the Parliament. The new bill says that the tribunal's decisions will not be final. Aggrieved parties could now also approach courts. Do you think it will help people get justice on time now with this provision?
Well, it is a double-edged sword. The tribunals were constituted. I still very clearly remember that the 2013 amendment laid a strong emphasis on the creation and on the strengthening of the tribunals with 3 members. Now, so much time has passed between 2013 and now it is 2024. If the Honourable Minister says on the House of the Parliament that the Waqf tribunals have not been able to deliver, I think the failure lies on the Waqf boards and the Waqf tribunals. They should have delivered.
Right.
They should have immediately taken decisions on the encroachments, on litigations, which were taken to them by the concerned by the affected people or by the concerned authorities. If they have failed, of course, the judicial remedy, the country cannot wait. The high courts and the higher authorities, they have to intervene.
Well, yes, of course, because it's a very sad state of affairs, and that's why the government intervenes now. The new bill has provision for women representation in the Waqf boards. How do you see this move?
Well, it was started in our time in 2013. We had tried to ensure in the amendments that in each Waqf board there will be attributable representation of the women from at least 2 women who are from different walks of life, who can take care of the women issues, women empowerment, and of course, like widow maintenance of the widows, which is a very sensitive subject, could be handled by these women. So I do not know whether the Waqf boards have been able to carry out that particular amendment so far as constituting Waqf board with appropriate lady members are concerned. So if 2024 amendment talks about the lady members, it's a welcome gesture.
Clearly, the authorities were sitting on these recommendations which were made in 2013, and now it's a welcome step that women will be involved in the management of Waqf boards as well. So now I would like to ask you that the total revenue generated by 1/3 land in the country, which falls into the Waqf board, is merely 200 crores according to an estimate. This is highly disappointing. Now the new bill aims at introduction of digital technology for bringing transparency. What else can be done to bring about financial transparency in the system?
Well, I think the move to provide digital transparency and to involve digital and computerization of records is a long drawn cry. We had tried to emphasize it in the Ministry of Minority Affairs.
You had also recommended this.
Yes, very much. I remember I worked under 3 ministers, late Janab Antule Sahab, Mr. Honorable Salman Khurshid Sahab, and Honorable Rahman Khan Sahab. I have worked as Director of Waqf under all the 3 ministers, and all the 3 had emphasized that the particular incorporations, the introductions in the Wakf Act should be brought about as soon as possible, and the revenue augmentation, which is very vital. One of the big reasons is corruption, of course. Like the rent of the premises which are given under mortgage or under rent or under lease of the Waqf properties is minimal. I can give you an example. Tollygunge Club is based on Waqf properties in Calcutta. Royal Calcutta Golf Club, I think the first golf club in the country after St. Andrews in UK, in India. I had visited them in 2010, I think, or 9, and they were giving only 1 lakh per month for the entire area.
Yeah, but sir, some of those properties were also Waqful Aulad, that provision was also there, isn't it?
Yes, Waqful Aulad is because a person dedicates the Waqf property so far as his children are concerned or the generations to come are concerned for the particular purpose, but he issues guidelines that whatever he is trying to endow should be used only for a particular charitable purpose, not for their own use.
I see. Okay, sir. So now the digitization of Waqf property records is something which has not been done since Indian independence. Do you think the new bill in its final shape will resolve this problem?
Well, let us take it, let us have a stand which is acceptable to the Muslim community as well as acceptable to the demands of management and administration.
Right.
Because Waqf has got a sort of religious connectivity with the community, no doubt about it. and the faith has to be brought shining forth in it, because you cannot deny it. Waqf means that the community is connected to it in all practical aspects. But the fact remains, how do you manage the Waqf properties? How do you manage the Waqf boards?
Right.
Now that is I think, to my mind, with my background in the Minority Affairs Ministry, it is a pure administrative measure. And the government is well within its right to go ahead with proper management, keeping in mind that the faith of the community is intact.
Absolutely. And also, sir, since these boards draw their power from the Act of Parliament, you cannot be in isolation. The system cannot operate in isolation. Now, sir, there's also a provision for hiring a full-time CEO for the boards. We have seen such arrangements are also there for the management of Hindu shrines like Vaishno Devi and other places. Will this provision improve the functioning of Waqf boards now? Do you think it's forward-looking?
Yes, it is. But let us keep in mind, to my mind, the CEO should be a man of the faith of the community. It should be, because the CEO is practically the person who takes forward all the implementation activities, and many a time he accosts serious religious beliefs. He comes across religious like graveyards, the fencing of graveyards, giving donations to the orphans. So if he is a man of Muslim faith, let me be very clear on that, it is desirable, but he should possess sufficient administrative experience at a very senior level, which we have already recommended in our 2013 amendments. And a full-time CEO is the need of the hour. There cannot be two views about it.
Right. So also a separate provision has been made for Aga Khani Waqf and Bohra Waqf. Will it protect the interest of these communities now?
Thing is that it has to be inclusive. The Waqf Act has to be inclusive.
Right.
The Bohra Waqf, the Aga Khani Waqf, or any other Waqf which pertains to faiths must be included in the tenets of the Waqf Acts, because there are many a time. I will give you an example. Like when we went to Bhopal, there was a Shahi Waqf and there was a state Waqf. So those two were aligned together, and both had their own ways of functioning, but the revenues and the way of functioning and the management had to be very transparent, and we ensured in our Joint Parliamentary Committee report that both the Waqf, similarly in Hyderabad, it was the Nizam's Waqf, and as well as the state government Waqf.
So is it separate entities, the Shahi Waqf and...
But they are separate entities, but they are governed by the same Waqf Act.
Okay.
So we will implement the aspirations of these Bohra communities or whosoever they are in the preambles of the Waqf Act itself.
Right. And also, sir, we have seen that some of the Waqf boards, as you pointed out earlier in our conversation, they have performed very well, such as Kerala and Tamil Nadu Waqf Board. What are the learnings from there? How can we learn from there and improve? Yes,
a very interesting question, because I had a first-hand experience when we took the Parliamentary Committee to those places, and the honourable members of Parliament were very impressed when they saw the workings of these. First of all, the CEO and the President and the Vice President were technically and administratively sound people. They were engineers, they were chartered accountants, they were company secretaries who were manning the show. Second thing is the literacy, the component of those estates. The literary components of those estates do not require any advice from me, because it is transparent to the whole country. But the main aspect was the encroachments were practically nil. The revenue was absolutely in order, and the level of corruption was, if I correctly recollect, in Kerala and some other states, practically nil. There was nothing. So we can follow. The best practices could be followed. And the women were participating in the Waqf boards. Chartered accountants and engineers and professors, along with the government servants retired, they were members, and they were manning it to the best perfection which they could have achieved.
Yes, so we have good examples within the system also. Now, sir, you also watched the proceedings in the Parliament, and I really felt very proud when the lawmakers across the party lines, the ruling and the opposition, they were so involved in this debate, and they were talking about the interest of the Muslim community. It really made me feel proud as an Indian. Now, with these new provisions, what would be, since you've worked already in this field, in the drafting, What would be your suggestions, as the Joint Parliamentary Committee will sit and discuss now? It will be formed and it will be deliberated in greater details.
First and foremost, I don't think Waqf is a political issue, to my mind, because I have worked there. It is a religious endowment. And like we have the Khaja Gharib Nawaz Act,
right.
So we have a similar Waqf Act.
Right.
So we have to ensure that all the stakeholders are taken on board. Let me give you an example. When I toured the country and went to different states, in Aurangabad we had a non-Muslim Hindu Shiv Sena MP who was guiding us and who was a member of the JPC, and he went to the greatest extent to make us comfortable and to ensure that our functioning was as per the tenets of law. So I think involving people of other faiths in the JPC, I think they were there when I was there, will be a welcome step. And involving them at the level of politicians, eminent politicians also, or people of different walks of life who are eminent, but of a different faith, is also acceptable. The only dividing line is that when the execution of the Waqf takes place on behalf of the CEO, or the sentiments of the people are involved as per the Waqf boards, it's a tightrope walk between administrative and management feasibility and keeping the religious sentiments of the community. That has to be ensured for the smooth functioning. And I am sure the honorable members of parliament, the lawmakers, will keep an eye on it, and they will work effectively on this matter.
So, you took the time and gave your insights into this important issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the time you have allotted to me, and for whatever experiences I had, I tried to bring forth. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Had Waqf boards worked properly, the condition of Indian Muslims would have been far better. We cannot take an ostrich-like approach and refuse to improve the shortcomings in the system. We actually need a Waqf system which is uniform, has transparency, and is accountable. That's all we have this week. We'll be back soon with another interesting episode. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.